In the previous lessons, you learned how to create a map, customize the map options, listen and interact with map events. Now it's time to learn how to add your own content to the map. So in this lesson, we'll learn how to create and place markers on the map, along with customizing those markers with your own images. Let's take a look at scripts.js. If you download the latest lesson code, you'll see that I've removed a bunch of the map options just to simplify the code base so we can focus on adding and learning about markers. Let's start by adding a simple marker to the map. I've created a new function called addMarker that will be responsible for creating the marker and returning the marker object, which we will store in a variable called newMarker. So to create a new marker, we'll take advantage of the marker class. Now the constructor of the marker class requires that we pass a set of options. These options include defining the position, setting the particular map that you want the marker to be associated with, and then customizing the icon. So the first property that we're going to set up is the position. Now the position takes a latitude and longitude coordinate, and we're going to take advantage, like we did with setting the map center, of using the lat_long class. So the first property we'll paste in here is the position. And right now this is our map center, so this will show up in the middle of the map. The second property we want to add is the map. And the property is called map, and since we have a global variable that's defined as map, we're going to attach that to this map property. So let's go ahead and save that. And after the map reloads, you'll see that it's defined a place marker in the middle of the map there, the red place marker. So I'm sure you're saying at this point, well, that's great, I can add a red place marker to the middle of the map. But right now it doesn't really do anything. I can't do anything when I click. I haven't attached any mouse events to it. And I really want to customize that icon to match my own brand. So since we've centered this on an airport, let's go ahead and replace this with an airplane icon. So I've created a folder in the project called image. And if you take a look at that, I've created 4 different colors of airplanes. And these icons are what will make up our course project. So let's add the green airplane icon instead of this generic red icon. So to change the icon, let's take advantage of the icon property. I'm just going to hide the sidebar real quick here so we can get a better view of things. So we want to take advantage of the icon property here and pass a couple different options into it. The first option is the URL of the particular image that we want to use. And so I'm going to use a relative URL here. So we'll go to image, and then we'll call the green airplane. Now that we've defined the URL of the particular image that we want to replace for our marker, we need to specify the size of that particular image, how we want it scaled, and where the origin and anchor points will be for that marker. So let's talk about the size. The size parameter defines how big the image will appear when it's placed as a marker on the map. For this examples in this course, all of the airplane icons or images that I've created are all 64 pixel by 64 pixel images. For this particular example, we want to use 32 by 32 pixels as the dimensions of that image. So to do that, I'm going to use the size class and set it to 32 by 32. So that will give us a 32 pixel by 32 pixel image for the particular marker. The next property we want to define is the origin. And that's just the position within the image that we want to show. And we're going to use the default, and that's 0, 0. So that is from the top left corner of the image is defined as 0, 0. So if you think of the top left as 0, 0, the bottom right is going to be 32 by 32 for this example. So let's take advantage of the Google Maps point class in order to define the origin. So we'll call that 0, 0. The next property we want to set is the anchor. Let's scroll up just a little bit so this is in the middle of the screen. Now the anchor position is the position within the image that will correspond to the location of the marker on the map. And right now the default is the center point at the bottom of the image. So if you think about 6.16, 32 down, right? If 0, 0 is at the top left, 16 pixels into the center is the center point, and the bottom is located at 32 pixels. So again, we'll use the point class and reference 16 by 32. Now, just a little bit of background on the anchor. In some projects that I've worked on, the anchor position might not be the bottom middle, and you might not want to go change a bunch of images to make it that. So the anchor allows you to set it to be any position within the image itself, and that can be extremely helpful. So you don't have to redo a bunch of images, you don't have to offset images or sprites within your image, for example, so that they match up with that center point. And finally, we're going to use the scaled size parameter. Now this property is used to specify the image size after you scale it. So this property can be used to stretch or shrink an image to match the size that you want to come up with. So having a 64 by 64 pixel image, I need to set the scaled size of 32 by 32 in order to match up with the size element or the size property that I set earlier. So we'll define Google Maps size and scale this down to 32 by 32. So let's update this on the map. And there we go. Now we have the green airplane sized to a 32 by 32 pixel image with an anchor down here in the bottom middle is attached to our center point. Just like the red icon, this one's centered to the same and anchored to the same location. So when creating a marker, you have two different options for specifying a lot of these properties. You can either specify it in the marker constructor, or you can use the methods that are associated with the marker in order to define them after the marker object itself has already been created. So let's look at some of those methods. First thing let's look at is, let's not assign the marker to a map just yet in the constructor. So after we update that, you'll see that the marker is no longer displayed because it's not associated with the map. So let's take the marker object and call it setMap, and then pass our map into it. And now that we refresh that, you'll see that the marker is now displayed because we created the marker with all the properties and then called setMap in order to associate it with the map. Another property that's useful is setVisible. And this property is useful if you have controls where you want to toggle icons on and off. So right now, setting it to false, the icon itself is not visible. Set it back to true, and now it's enabled again. So this is just an example of how you can use events associated with the marker in order to control the properties of the marker itself. If you refer to the API reference, there are a bunch of different methods that you can use for interacting with the marker. So we just touched upon a few, such as the setMap and the setVisibility. But if you look through the list, you'll see both getter and setter methods that allow you to both control the icon, placement, visibility of the marker, but also get the current state of the marker itself. So to recap, in this lesson we learned how to create and add markers to the map, create a custom marker image, and work with marker methods to get and set marker properties.